Well, good morning, everyone. I'm going to hand the microphone over to Andrea, and she'll get our call started. Welcome to the call.
Yes, good morning. It's July 2nd, 2018, and we're on the doctor's call with Dr. Kurt Fisnick, who brings us good news and health information every Tuesday at noon Eastern Time. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. And I'm sure that one of your friends invited you, or you saw a post on social media about this call. If you have questions at the end of the call about any products that are discussed, or if you want to schedule a health consult with Dr. Kurt via phone, get back to the person who invited you. And we do talk about a company, products that are put out by a company called Sisel International. It is a very large manufacturing plant in Utah, USA, where they create very effective and non-toxic products. Doctor, welcome to the call.
Well, thanks, Andrea. Thanks for being here every week with us. And you know, I was sitting here last night thinking, what am I going to talk about on the doctor's call? And then this morning I got up and I thought, you know what? We haven't talked about bone or joint health in a long time. So what do you think?
I think it's perfect because I was walking across my garden going, I'm going to have to get some renovator for these joints.
Oh, I started bumping my dosage up a little bit because I go for walks with my dog every day. And I just thought, you know what? I'm gonna take an increased dosage, so I'm taking 5 a day now. Awesome. Yeah. So you know, when we're talking about bone health, on the screen you'll see I have a website up there that talks about bone health. This is some statistics. Osteoporosis causes more than 8.9 million. So let's just say almost 9 million fractures annually. So that means that there's an osteoporotic fracture every 3 seconds in the world.
Wow.
Every 3 seconds. So in the last 10 seconds, 3 people broke a bone.
That's amazing.
Crazy, isn't it? So osteoporosis is estimated to affect 200 million women worldwide, which is approximately 1/10 of the women aged 60 or older, 1/5 of the women aged 70, and 2/5 of women aged 80, 2/3 of women aged 90.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and so I mean, just kind of looking at some of these stats, and I know this website says for the year 2000, so it's a little bit old, but there's an estimated 9 million new osteoporotic fractures for that year, and they talk about women a lot with osteoporosis because it seems like it affects women more. But by the year 2050, they're saying the worldwide incidence of hip fracture in men is projected to increase by 310% and 240% in women. So that kind of tells us that men are gonna start catching up. Yeah,
so we have to look at what are some of the reasons, right?
Right. So good thing you brought that up. So they take they talk about it's the disability due to osteoporosis is actually greater than the disability caused by cancer, except for lung cancer. Of course, they're saying that has more of a disability on the world. But I mean, I'm just looking through some of these stats. It's crazy. Vertebral fractures, where the bones fracture in the back and that. You know, but part of the problem is that when we're looking at bones, part of the problem is that, you know, as a society, as a world as a whole, we're not staying as physically active as we used to. And according to some of the laws of physiology, they basically say that if you're not putting stress on the joints, if you're not putting stress on the bones, then the bones don't build the strength that they used to. You don't have that same activity where the bone is remodeling and rebuilding all the time. So that's part of the problem, is that we've just become a world that we're, less active, right?
Right.
And then we have hormonal issues. We've got endocrine disruptors that are causing problems with the hormones, and that causes some issues. And then toxicity as well. So just kind of some of the things that I brought up here. And then here's another page from WebMD, and it says the numbers of Americans with severe joint pain is rising. The Centers for Disease Control estimates that close to 15 million people now live with joint problems, severe joint problems. And so going back, and they're talking about 2002, I don't know if that's the, but they're saying there was 10.5 million people in the United States were battling severe joint pain, but by 2014, they're saying that number jumped from 10.5 million to 14.6. That was according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. And when they talk about severe joint pain, these are the people who say on a scale of 1 to 10, they're at least at a 7. What do you think of that?
There's a lot of hurting people out there, doctor.
I mean, 7 on a scale of 1 to 10. I mean, if you fall down and you hurt yourself and you get back up, what would you rank that as, Andrea? And it's different for everybody, right? But what would you rank that as if you just kind of fell down and hurt yourself? Probably not a 7, right?
No, 1.5 maybe.
Yeah. So to be a 7, I mean, just in your opinion, how bad would it have to be? I mean, a 10. When you gave birth to your kids, was that a 10?
Well, it's totally different pain.
But would you say that pain was a 10?
No.
No?
No. But it's a different kind of pain, so it's really not all that comparable. But we have so many people out there, and I would say probably if it's interfering with your daily activities, that's probably a 7.
Yeah. Yeah. When you start having to take something for the pain, right?
Right.
I would say that now you're getting up there in that over the 5 category anyhow. And some people they're wussies and they'll take painkillers at a 1, but most people they won't. Right?
Right.
And so here's what the PubMed, or not PubMed, but WebMD says. They say that the CDC researchers tells people painkillers, over-the-counter painkillers like acetaminophen and NSAIDs, like ibuprofen, naproxen, Aleve will help some, and then stronger prescription painkillers like opioids are not really recommended. But I know people they take that pain medication for everything.
Oh yeah, I know several people who became addicted to pain medications, and it's life-threatening basically.
Yeah. Well, and the whole opioid epidemic, I mean, right there in Michigan, last Thursday, a huge crackdown. Did you hear about that? Was it on the news there in Mount Pleasant?
Well, I don't watch the news, so I don't know.
Oh, well, there was a huge crackdown in Michigan. One doctor, he got fined by the United States Department of Justice. It was a $112 million lawsuit filed against a doctor in Michigan.
Oh, I did see that. I saw it on social media. Yeah.
Yeah. 76 doctors were indicted, 23 pharmacists, and 300 other people were indicted in this big fraud case across the United States. It's huge. And the thing about it is that, so when we're looking at what can we do about it? What can we help people out with? So You know, one of the things that I want to talk about is that, you know, we're not physically active like we used to be 50 years ago, say in the 1950s, 1960s. You know, a lot of people did a lot of manual labor, but today we've gotten to where, you know, I mean, look at what we're doing right now. I'm sitting here, I've got my computer on my lap and my laptop, and I'm working, right?
Right.
And a lot of people, that's how they go through their day. And then at the end of the day, they go home and they plot themselves down on their couch and they turn the TV on and they eat, and that's their day. Then they go to bed.
Right. They say inactivity is more of a contributor to loss of health than even smoking now.
Exactly, right? And so when we're looking at different products, you know, the first one I wanted to bring up, you'll see on the screen here, I'm talking about the Super Omega Plus. And what it is, it's a mixture of the different omegas that we have, the powerful omegas. And I've had people take a double dose of this when they have joint pain, because they've shown that the omega-3s are so good at getting rid of inflammation. And inflammation is a major contributor to joint pain. And so what the omega-3s do, the EPA in omega-3, it's one of the fats that's found in omega-3. It's a natural anti-inflammatory. And then the omega-7s and the omega-9s and the omega-6s, they all help out with all of this. But when we take a look at it, it was formulated, Tom was really formulating something not just for getting rid of inflammation, but it helps with cardiovascular health as well. And then it helps with brain health. Do you know what the omegas do when you're talking about brain health, Andrea?
Well, I believe that when you have fats and you're burning fats for fuel, it doesn't require insulin. So it immediately, it gives you brain power immediately.
You bet. Yeah, your body will use the fats as energy, as a fuel source. But the other thing is that when you're taking a look at the structure of the brain, you've got the fats that kind of make the connections between the brain cells. Just a real easy explanation for it. So the fatty tissue actually makes the connections. It's like the wires in your computer. It's the circuit board in the computer for your body. And so if you're consuming lots of bad fats, if you're eating you know, fats like bacon fat, and that's nothing wrong with bacon, but if your brain is made out of bacon, it's not going to work very good, is it?
No, I guess not.
Right? And so the fats help out not just with the brain, but they help out with the joints, which is the topic of our topic of today. And so it helps get rid of inflammation, and it keeps the joints so they're healthy. So I wanted to throw that one out there right away. The next one that I really want to talk about was calcium. And so we look at the calcium K2 product that Sisel has, and you'll see that on the screen now. That calcium K2, what it is, it's a cutting-edge blend of calcium combined with other ingredients like vitamin K2, because they found that if you just take calcium, it really doesn't do everything that you want it to do. Most calcium supplements, your body just can't use them. You take and just grind up some bones or some seashells and things like that. Your body just doesn't know what it's going to do with it, and it just flushes it out. And now they're saying that people who are overdosing on calcium are actually creating problems with the vascular health as well. They're actually causing problems in the arteries.
Yeah, I also saw one video where a doctor was explaining that large doses of calcium create some calcification in breast tissue in women, and then they go get a mammogram and they have shadows in there. And so then they start treating this simple calcification as if it is something like the big C, and so that's not good.
Yeah. Right. So when you have calcium, you have to have the right kind of calcium. And so Sisel uses a real good form of calcium that your body can use. So you'll look when you look at the container. I've got the label there, and it shows that it's 500 milligrams in a dose, and that's balanced out by 100 milligrams of magnesium, because you want to have that balance between the calcium and the magnesium. And when you look at the magnesium, it's a magnesium that's primarily focused on bone health, versus if you take a look at our brain vitality, for example, it's a different kind of magnesium, right? Do you remember what kind of magnesium is found in brain vitality?
I do not.
So magnesium threonate is actually what we use in the brain vitality. And do you know why?
Tell us.
Well, I'm trying to educate you here, Andrea.
Well, I'm listening.
So the magnesium threonate, what they found is that form of magnesium actually passes through the blood-brain barrier rather quickly. So it actually helps with brain health, with brain function, where when we're talking about joints and bones, we want a different kind of magnesium. So that's why we have a different kind of magnesium in this. And then we have 80 micrograms of vitamin K2 included with this as well. And again, the K2 works with the D3, and it helps to make it so your body can actually use the calcium, and so you don't have to take 1,000,000 milligrams of calcium to make it work. You just have to use the right kind of calcium.
Well, that's what I like about Sisel products is we know without doubt we're getting high quality ingredients, and then Tom always puts the extra in there to make it effective.
And that's really, in my opinion, with all of the products, isn't it?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things that, and I know you're going to share a little bit about it this Friday on our team call, right? I mean, you were saying how you've been involved with network marketing for, 25, 30 years. And because of the quality of the products, and I'm just kind of giving a little highlight about what you're going to talk about on Friday, is that you feel that because of the quality of the products, you notice that people are using them. They're continuing to use the products, and the retention rate stays way up, doesn't it?
And they love them. They, people just like myself continue to expand and try even more products from the lineup that we have.
Right. And that's the whole thing, is that if one product works, in your opinion, then you go, well, maybe that one will work too, right?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So it's exciting to see that that's what we're working with, and working with a company like Sisel. So, let's get on with the real meat of the presentation today, which is talking about joints. And you were saying earlier, you said you're probably going to have to start taking the Renovator product, and so the Renovator product is it really is a total care product for your joints and your muscles and your cartilage. I remember when I joined Sisel, we actually had 2 different bone and joint products to make it so that we could keep the bones and joints healthy. And somewhere along the line, a couple of years ago, Tom took and combined the 2 products and came up with one.
I love that he does things like that.
Yeah, and so he was able to cut the amount of money that we had to spend as consumers by just having to buy one product. And then after he did that, then he actually reformulated the Renovator again and made it so it was even more powerful. So you only have to take 4.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And, I want to be a ninja like that girl in that picture there.
Right? You could do that.
I couldn't do it right now.
Next time I come to Michigan, I want to see you doing that.
That will be a comedy series.
Right? That'd be like you telling me to do that.
Right.
And so as we look at it here, I'm going to go to the label on the Renovator, and I want people to look at that and just oops. So when you're looking at that, and where did it go? Hang on. Where did the label go? Where did it go? So we have something called denatured and undenatured type 2 collagen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times people, they're like, well, what does that mean? Denatured, undenatured. So when we talk about sizzling, of course, everybody's heard about the fact that we have undenatured protein in sizzling.
Right. The best kind.
The best kind, right? And how do you denature protein? Well, you cook it. And when you cook it, it denatures it, and so it makes it so that the body can't use it. So what they found with using denatured, undenatured type 2 collagen is that it actually, some forms of collagen, you want it denatured, you want to cook it a little bit more so your body can actually use it. And so I brought up a little science product here. This is from PubMed, and it said the safety and efficacy of undenatured type 2 collagen in the treatment of osteoarthritis of the knee. And so this is a clinical trial that they did. This was dated back in 2009, so not that long ago. And so they talk about studies that they show undenatured type 2 collagen has been effective in the treatment of rheumatoid arthritis, and preliminary human and animal studies show that it's effective in treating osteoarthritis as well. And the reason I'm bringing up this study is because we can't make medical claims about our products.
Right.
But we can go on PubMed and we can pull up published studies on the ingredients. So here's a study that was done, and this was published in the International Journal of Medical Sciences, and it was published back in 2009, like I said. And they're saying that if you're using this undenatured collagen, type 2 collagen, they're saying that it showed significant enhancements in the daily activities, suggesting an improvement in the quality of life of the people that participated with the study. So, Andrea, let me ask you, if you knew somebody that had rheumatoid arthritis or osteoarthritis, wouldn't this be an important thing to know?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. And so that's important to know. So looking again, let's go back and look at the label again and look at the different ingredients in there. So now we have something called methylsulfonylmethane, right? Which is MSM. A lot of us know it as MSM. So here's a study, again, it's from pubmed.gov, and it talks about the efficacy of methylsulfonylmethane, MSM, in osteoarthritis pain of the knee. And this is a clinical study that was done back in 2006. MSM has been around for a long time. So they say that osteoarthritis is the most common form of arthritis and the second most common cause of long-term disability among middle-aged and older adults in the United States. So MSM is a popular dietary supplement, and it helps with people with arthritis. And so the conclusion of it is that it improves the symptoms of pain and physical function during the short intervention that they did the study, and there was without any major adverse side effects. The benefits and safety of MSM in managing osteoarthritis and long-term use cannot be determined by the pilot study, but they say that there was significant decrease in pain and physical function impairment. Isn't that good?
That would be good.
So if you know somebody has osteoarthritis, wouldn't it be important to let them know that Sisel uses MSM and we don't just throw a little dabble in there? Like Tom says, we don't take the chicken and wave it over a pot of boiling water and call it chicken soup. We take the recommended amount based on the studies that we're seeing here. We're taking the recommended amount and we're putting it into the product. Okay, so let's go back to the label and look again. What else do we have in there? Well, the next thing that we have in there is we have something called lithothalmium, right? And I had to look this one up. I'm like, well, what is lithyl-thallium, right? So I went to another PubMed study, and it's a mineral-rich extract that comes from a red marine algae, and preserves bone structure and function. And now this is a study that was done in mice, but mice that ate a Western-style diet. So I'd say, wouldn't that be mice that ate pizza and hamburgers?
Pretty much,
And
yes.
drank lots of soda? But you're not laughing with me.
Well, I was just thinking, I believe I saw something that said that when you drink soda pop, it pulls minerals from your bone.
It does, exactly. And it
Mm-hmm.
pulls out all the minerals out of the bones and things like that. So here's what they said. They said, to summarize, these mice that were given this had reduced problems with their bones, and they noticed that they had increased bone strength, right? And so again, it really helped out. And so it helps out with arthritis. Again, so if you know somebody has arthritis, if you know somebody has problems with osteoporosis, wouldn't this be a great product to have them taken?
Yeah, it's like a synergistic blend of awesome things.
Yeah. And so now let's go back to the label, and we look at the label again. And this is how you could break down all the products if you ever want to do this. But another ingredient is called boswellia, right? And so here we'll go to another PubMed study. And so it says Boswellia serrata, a potential anti-inflammatory agent, an overview. And so what they said, Boswellia has traditionally been used in folk medicine for centuries to treat various chronic inflammatory diseases. So it's been used for years, and they find that it's safe, and it's a plant. It's actually a tree that grows in India, North Africa, Middle East, and they find that it's really helps out with people. It helps out with kind of the inflammatory enzymes that cause problems in our body. It's a potent inhibitor of 5-lipooxygenase, an enzyme responsible for inflammation. Again, if you've got joint pain, you've got inflammation. Wouldn't it be nice to know that here's an ingredient that's got medical studies, it's on PubMed, that shows that it helps?
Yes.
Right? So let's go back to the label. Let's look again. And we got curcuma longa, right? Curcuma longa. And for people who don't know what that is, here we go back to PubMed. And so curcumin eluting nanofibers augment osteogenesis toward phytochemical-based bone tissue engineering, right? So if you read on the bottom, what it does is it controls the polymer scaffolds. It's a promising strategy for bone tissue regeneration.
Yeah, regeneration, baby.
There you go, and that's it. You know, so again, when we take a look at these different ingredients that are found in the product, I mean, all these things, they help with getting rid of inflammation. It helps out with the bone. It helps out with the joints. You know, supports healthy joints. It supports healthy skeletal function, and it responds to body inflammation.
That's great, you know, because really, when you take this all in, it kind of looks like a vicious circle. If you have a decrease in your joint repair, then you get pain, and then you don't want to walk or move because you're in pain, and that further causes more decay in the joint. You know, so by taking this product, you can actually start to reverse that cycle where you're providing the right things to restore the joints, and you're decreasing pain so that you can become more active. And of course, our natural ability of walking and moving and function all strengthen the joints and the bone. So
You bet. You know, and Andrea, I mean, just kind of, and we're at the bottom of the hour here. It's great to use these products together, right? Like when you think about the age pill, it removes glycation and lipofuscin, which activates stem cells that have gone into senescence, they've gone into hibernation, they've gone to sleep, kind of brings them back awake. And then we've got, you know, products like the fucoidan that's great for getting inflammation. It bumps up the immune system. We got Spectramax that's just loaded with all sorts of minerals, and we need all those minerals, and it's got 40 antioxidants. What were you telling me last week when I was up in Michigan? You know, kind of, I want you to put it in your words. Why is it important that you don't just use one antioxidant? What's the problem with that?
Oh, well, I got that from Tom. I listened to a video where he was discussing Spectramax, and he was sharing that when you break apart a free radical, because you've got the antioxidants in the Spectramax to do that, when you break apart a free radical, it turns into two other free radicals. You break those two apart and they turn into another one. So in Tom's video, he talks about how he took that down in this cascading effect to 30, I believe it was 39 levels of breaking these free radicals apart. So that's how he designed Spectramax to do that. And you shared with me that if you're just like taking vitamin C, for example, as an antioxidant, it's just breaking, you know, maybe one or two of those cascading chains. So you need to take it all the way down to eliminate those improper connections, energy connections in the body.
Exactly. Right. So they're all important, right? I mean, all the products are important. You can't just take one. Somebody tells me, oh man, you know, I can't afford all of the products. I can only afford you know, one or two. And so I asked Tom about that. You know, a while back, I said, what's the most important products if you can only afford a couple? And this was before the age pill came out. He and I were having that discussion, and he actually said Spectramax was probably the most important product that we had in our product lineup at that time. Of course, now we have the age pill. So, you know, I would say that the age pill combined with the Spectramax, if you can only afford two products, that's probably the way I would go. How about you?
Right.
All right. Well, I'll let you close out the call, Andrea, and thanks everyone for joining us today. Have a wonderful 4th of July, and enjoy your summer weather. It could be snowing in 4 months, 3 months.
Oh, stop that. Thank you, Dr. Kurt, for coming on again this Tuesday for the doctor's call. Anyone listening today, we hope you make this a regular listening experience for yourself, just to learn about health and how you could improve your health. So tune in every Tuesday at noon Eastern time and join us for the doctor's call. Have a great 4th of July.
Thanks, Andrea. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.